Hello, friends. In September, I spent 5 days, 4 nights backpacking in the Grand Teton backcountry with a friend. This video will show you the route, campsites, and some of the views. We camped the night before at Flag Ranch, and it was wet the first morning. We dropped our car off at Jenny Lake and then caught a ride to the trailhead to start the trip. Day one has about 2,000 feet of climb, about 500 foot of descent. It was, I think, about 5 mile day. It was a nice way to start. A lot of climb at the beginning, but it was absolutely beautiful. My pack weighed about 45 pounds at the beginning. Of course, you're fully loaded at that point with food. I've got a 2-liter water bladder and a Grail water filter. I also carried a chair. I wanted to be able to sit on something at the end of the day. The pack gets a lot lighter as the trip goes on. This portion of the trail had a massive rock slide that had happened. It was impressive. It was probably a quarter of a mile wide. So as a first timer to the Grand Tetons, I just kept saying wow like 1,000 times the first day. It was just amazing. Just the views were absolutely amazing. One of the things I'd really hoped to see was moose, bear, something like that in the wild. And we were told by the rangers at the very beginning, look for willow trees along water, which is what you're seeing right now. And so every time we came across water, saw the willow trees, we just kind of stopped and looked at, is there a moose in there somewhere? The honest truth is they're just so camouflaged, it would have been hard to see them if they were there. That red bag that you're seeing is for the food that wouldn't fit in the bear vault. You want to hang food away from where you're camping and hang it up so that bears can't get into it. The last thing we want to do is have bears see humans as a source of food. When we got to the camp zone in this area, there was so much deaded down timber that we passed on the first few sites. We ended up with this site, which was on top of a big granite rock. It was a good site. It worked for us. Day 2 started with a hot breakfast and coffee. This is a 3.7 mile day with about 660 feet of elevation gain. Our goal today is to get to the camping zone at the end of Death Canyon. If you're wondering how hard it is to follow the trail when you get away from the trailhead, it's not bad. With that in mind, Brad had a Garmin, we had a printed map, a compass, I had all trails on my phone was in airplane mode. This is what the trail looks like. That is a trail right there. My phone knows where it is at all times and it shows up on the all trail map and tells us which direction to go, so it wasn't too hard to follow. Day 3 is a 7.3 mile day. We have 900 feet of gain in the first mile to get to Death Canyon Shelf. There are a series of switchbacks that feel like going through turnstiles at Disney World. After getting to the shelf, it will be relatively flat for the rest of the day. At this point, we were on top of Death Canyon Shelf, overlooking Death Canyon Valley. We stopped, took a break, got something to eat, and just kind of sat for a minute to look at the valley that we had spent the last 2 days walking through. It was one of the highlights of the trip. Notice the location of the arrow. You're going to see it again when we look back to see where we've been. At that point, we will enter Jedediah Smith Wilderness and Caribou Targhee National Forest. I probably just butchered that Targhee name. We are now on Teton Crest South Trail, and we'll be camping in the Alaska Basin tonight. There's a 400-foot drop into the basin and then about a 500-foot gain to get to our campsite, which is near Sunset Lake. When we got to the camp zone, the other campers were chasing off a mama grizzly and two cubs. We had been warned before the trip that the female grizzlies take the cubs up high to fatten them up for the winter because there's less competition from the males, and the males will kill the babies just because they see them as competition for food. Day 4 will take us from the Alaska Basin over Hurricane Pass, which is our highest elevation point at 10,575 feet, and then we'll drop into Cascade Canyon. Remember the arrow that I mentioned earlier? Well, this is where that Targhee sign was at. This view is looking back over the Alaska Basin before we start our climb to get out. One of the things I noticed was there's a lot of runoff from ice melt from the top of the mountains. It creates a lot of rivers and a lot of waterfalls that we'll see a little bit later on. It's a little backwards in the picture, but 10,000 feet. As we go up in elevation, the scenery really changes. I don't know if it's the wind, the soil, or just the elevation, but at this point there really isn't anything over knee high. Hurricane Pass is well named. The picture doesn't really show it, but the trail's about 3 feet wide. The wind is about 50-60 miles an hour, and there's steep drop-offs on both sides. It's really kind of intimidating. Coming down from Hurricane Pass, we take switchbacks to get into the valley. This is Cascade Canyon. Along the way, we see a lot of water, a lot of waterfalls. We start seeing a lot more life, a lot more trees. It's a really beautiful view to see it on the way down. I have no idea what type of tree this is. If you do, leave it in the comments. Day 5 is a 5.6 mile day with about 1,700 feet of descent. We actually took the ferry across Jenny Lake and didn't do the walk around like the map shows. There are more than a few highlights from the trip. First was getting to spend the week with Brad. Had a great time. Experiencing nature in a natural setting. I know that sounds weird. The view from above Death Canyon and the view from above Alaska Basin, both were amazing. And then on the 4th night, I got woke up by a marmot, which was just ripping up grass like crazy next to my tent. It was a great way to wake up. For gear, I really enjoy the simplicity of the Grail water filter. I enjoy having a chair to sit on at the end of the day. And my boots, Osprey backpack, and Nemo sleep system are really valuable to me. I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for spending the time with me. And I hope to see you out on the trail. Say hi. Thanks.